Well, we've had the opportunity to talk about the broad foundational issues in the first three chapters for week one. Here in week two, we're going to begin with the nuts and bolts of the individuals that make up the greater organization. And the word I could not think of in the chapter before this was assimilate. When we're going to talk about all of these component parts, for example, in this chapter, emotions and moods and things as such, it's the assimilation to the organization that we're after. So can, as a bottom line, we manage moods and emotions or understand them in order to get the mix in the workforce that will advance the organization ahead. So as a goal, that's what we're after. So here's, as you read this chapter, here's some of the things that we're going to talk about. The differentiation between emotions, moods, some of the basics. This is where the psychological elements, if you go back to chapter 1 especially, where they lay out the text and its component parts, its organization, here's where then we jump into what makes up the individual. And as you read through this, try to keep it in context. The reason we're concerned about emotions and moods is how does it affect performance? Or affect, I guess. How does it move us toward the goal of the organization? It's about the individual in so much as how can we maximize that individual's performance within the organization. Okay, so sources. So this involves stresses, good and bad, and understanding as management how we're going to. They talk about emotional IQ or understanding emotions. The best leaders are ones that pick up on this because there is an emotional element to every decision, every action that we do. I mean, we can't be totally rational. That's just not a possibility. We are, not that we want to be dominated by emotions, but there is that element in there, good and bad. And there's a place for anger in the workplace, but when it's out of control, it's destructive. I mean, disagreement is good. Fighting, arguing is bad. Disagreement, though, leads to better solutions typically, as long as the goal, the overarching ultimate goal, is kept in mind. So there are theories discussed in this chapter, the effects, and then applying these at the very end, which is what you want to pay the most attention to when you make application to your project, these models to organizational behavior issues and situations. Okay, so as you read this chapter, be cognizant of that and see how this finite detail fits into then your projects, your forums, and other assignments that we deal with. So we need to make application. So now again, we've got the foundational issues laid out and covered. You've read those. We've discussed those. Now it's time to make application of the component elements of the individuals within that organization with the hope of maximizing performance.